welcome you to a conversation we're about to have. Rich from ReviewTechUSA, and introduce yourself, man.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Rich from ReviewTechUSA. Just like Alan said, I have been doing YouTube since 2008, been doing it full time since 2013, and I was a much bigger dude when I started. That's why I'm here.
Hang on, we're getting reverb. There we go. So you still there?
I'm still here. Yep.
Good. I was listening to us talk, and
I heard it too.
I was like, how the fuck? I can't even talk over myself. It's weird.
What's up, everybody?
So how big were you when you started?
I would say I've always had weight issues throughout my life where it kind of went up and down, up and down, up and down. The skinniest I ever was in my senior year of high school, but I was skinny for the wrong reasons. I worked a part-time job during my senior year of summer, used it for beer money, and then I would go to the gym like 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yeah. I've been there, done that, owned a t-shirt, I think. Yeah, like I was in high school, I was very thin. Like I graduated high school at this height, and I weighed about 140, so I weighed about 80 pounds less. But at my biggest, I weighed like 120 pounds less, right? And I grew up in Pittsburgh, so it's like, I grew up in Pittsburgh in the 80s. Like I could get beer by like going to like the distributor and saying like I'm 21, and they'd be like, okay.
Me too. I mean, I'm younger than you, but me too. I remember going to a gas station up near me, and they're like, "Oh, you look like you're 40." I was like 20 at the time, and they just let me get what I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, like I had like my first gray hair when I was like 17. I was the guy that like actually went into the state store, and fucking bought liquor and shit. Like, I didn't worry about it at all. But what do you think led to your weight gain? Because one of the reasons why, but everybody, just so everybody knows, one of the reasons why I brought Rich on is because I think it's important. I'm going to start having conversations like this as much as possible. I think it's important for us to get to the reality of what we are doing to ourselves. We're in an era of time right now where things are being glamorized and to the point where, or minimized to the point where it's a very dangerous rhetoric. Like we need more people that have lost weight or need to lose weight, telling their story about what they were going through and what happened, how they got there, to make sure that for the future generations, we don't see this. It's a problem that I think is being swept under the rug. And it's just one of the things why I found your story to be amazing. I really did. Like, because again, we'll get to it, but how much did you lose? Just so we get this right off. How much have you lost so far?
I am at 268 right now. The biggest I was, and I probably maybe even a little bit bigger, but I don't want to like over exaggerate numbers. Let's say 410, but realistically, I was probably closer to 420.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't step on the scale for the first couple of weeks when you're starting, you just know you need to lose weight.
Yes, exactly.
That happens with so many of our clients. It really does. Like they already started self-regulating a little bit because they've either had some sort of health scare or they've had like they have the aha moment, which we'll get to in a second. So you've lost 160 some pounds.
Like around that. Yep.
That's fucking amazing, dude. That is amazing. And it's very, very, like, not a lot of people just do it themselves, just like, boom.
Yeah, no surgery.
No surgery, no nothing. And even not like, just to like pick up and like have that moment, like have that moment in your life where it's like, I need to actually look, I actually need to look out for my future, So I think that's amazing. That's why I'm going to have more and more. I'm going to do more and more of these things. I want to make sure we give a voice to the people, especially that have really good outreaches that can say this is why it's important. When we talk about that, can you tell us about like the moment that you realized you needed to change something?
Oh, absolutely, because it was a earth-shattering moment for me. You know how you always, and I'm sure everyone, including you, Alan, you have people in your life where they say something to you, they love you and they care about you, but it's like, all right, oh, shut up. You say it again. Oh, you're rich, your pants are looking tight. It's like, yeah, whatever. But then you have a person in your life, when they say something, they tell it how it is, and they're saying it to you because you have a real problem. Mm-hmm. That was actually my friend Matt that did that. He's actually the intro of all of my videos, where he went to me late last year and said, Rich, you're the biggest I ever seen you. You have a real problem, and I'm very concerned about you. And that hit me like a freight train. That made me, that really I'm like, oh my God, for him to say it, I'm in a world of trouble. And then I started thinking about my kids and everything. And that was where like the reality really hit me. For him to say something who I know only says things like that when it's serious, I need to get off my ass literally and metaphorically and do something before it's too late. Either I'm 500 pounds or dead.
Yeah.
And that was my wake up call. And it was a grim reality. It was tough to come to grips with it, but I'm glad that I did. Initially.
Yeah, dude, me too. I mean, you're a father. I mean, it's important. Like, it's setting an example, but two, like, you want to be around. You know, like, I find that to be, that to be one of the most egregious things. It's like a lot of these people have kids. You know, like there was a recent article that just came out today or yesterday, where a 17-year-old ate themselves blind and deaf. Like,
I just saw that today. Yeah, that's unreal. Yeah.
Like, first of all, to the parents of that person, fuck you. You should be put in jail. That is abuse. That is negligent abuse, because that's not something that happened in a year period of time. Like, the kid apparently had problems for years, right? And it just goes to show you can't. Our bodies are machines. You can't treat it like shit. Like, I mean, like I there are I don't have many regrets in life. Believe it or not, people. Like I'm sure people are looking at me like, what the fuck? But I don't have many regrets in life. I often say I wouldn't change a fucking thing, because my life fucking kicks ass. I gorgeous wife, good businesses, like, life is fucking killing it. But I know that from mistakes I made when I was younger, with either the way I trained or what I did, how I abused my body, that I'm going to have some pain later on. There's no doubt. I've got several track injuries, like, because I was a pole vaulter in high school, that my right leg is going to be very, very tough to deal with at some point in time. That's one of the reasons why I work out so much, is to stay mobile, because when I don't, man, my lower back,
You feel it.
Yeah, dude. So what were the things that you were feeling when you were the biggest?
And it's amazing how you don't realize these things until after you lose the weight. Getting off the couch was an event.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now I could just go and stand up, well, without knocking my mic over, and it's no problem. When I was at 410, 420, it was like I had to position my feet. I had to hold on to the couch. You don't realize, like, when you're in that moment, when you are that big, you don't realize how much of a detriment that is. When you walk around, like I was walking around Kohl's, I remember my feet would be on fire. Now that's like nothing. Just doing simple tasks is things that no one else even thinks about, were challenges, and you don't even realize it until you lose 150 plus pounds. And it's like, oh my God, what was I doing to myself?
Well, that's, I think, because I always hear this shit. Like, I don't know about your blood work, but I always hear this stuff. Well, you can't tell a person's healthy by how they look. If you aren't mobile, like, you're not healthy. Like, in reality, because what was happening was you were doing what's called a mobility spiral. Like, so the bigger you got, the less mobile you got. The less mobile you got, the bigger you got. It's like this spiral that happens, because the less you move around, one, it's depressing. So you're going to eat more out of depression, because nobody gets to 400 some pounds without a poor relationship with food. That's just real.
It's 100%. My relationship with food is terrible.
Yeah. And so you basically self-medicate, and it really is. It's self-medicating for depression through food, because the food you love hits your stomach. Even when you look at it, like, I mean, you could probably still look at, like, that favorite thing you have or you had, you can probably still look at it, and it releases dopamine in your brain. Like, it's literally self-medication, and people don't understand that. They really don't. And so you are self-medicating your depression via food. You really are. It's an addiction. Right?
Absolutely.
And the more you eat, the less mobile you get. So therefore you're burning even less calories, and you're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it causes that's how people get to be completely bedbound and dead. And when people are at that stage, 400 pounds is normally the turning point, I've noticed. Like, well, we have a lot of clients that hit the 400 pound mark, and it's either they fix it, or they either get gastric bypass surgery or die. That's just how it happens. What was the food?
What was my weakness? Well, there was two huge ones. One, I still have coffee. I have like a tumbler of iced coffee where it has I have like 2 coffees a day, but I was having probably, and this is before overeating, probably about 1,200 calories worth of caffeinated drinks a day.
It's a killer.
And then on top of it, I think I was overeating. So I was probably having about 3,000 to 4,000 calories worth of food. So I was probably having about 5,000 plus calories a day, every day.
That's exactly how that happens. I will tell you this, the lucky thing is you're able to switch that to 0 calories through beverage, and all of a sudden it's immediate 1,200 calorie reduction. I mean, the hard part is getting there, because you can still have the caffeine, you're missing the sugar. And refined sugar is what you're talking about in those drinks. And refined sugar is an addictive substance. People just need to fucking accept it. And it's horrible for your body, because sugar is made up of two molecules. It's glucose and fructose, right? The glucose gets spread throughout the body. Like 20% of it goes to your liver, right? And processed through the liver. And the rest of it goes to your muscles and your tissue and all that shit, right? 100% of fructose gets processed by the liver. That's how people get fatty liver. And then once they get fatty liver, they, it's just like, people don't understand. It's like these systemic things that happen through obesity that cause the downward spiral of your life, So you're actually almost kind of like, in my experience dealing with food addicts, the reduction of liquid calories, if they're addicted to like a liquid calorie, it's a little easier actually. Because while you probably had sugar withdrawals. Like it was probably like going through
the first 2 weeks was rough.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Like physical withdrawals, often happen. Flu-like symptoms. I bet you were trying to rationalize like a motherfucker for that sweet taste thing, right?
Oh my God. And it wasn't even that. Like, I remember like before I actually really got into the mindset to eat healthy and really do a lifestyle change, I couldn't function because it'd be like, oh, I could go get a slice of pizza. And I would sit there like and fight with myself, and I would always lose.
Yeah.
Now I finally changed, but it was an obsession. Like you would be like, oh man, just one more day, just one more day, just one more day. And just one more day turns into 3 more years.
Yep. And that's how people that's why like my wife and I profess, we try to give away a lot of what we coach just to the audience, because it's important, but like we don't do the cheat meals, like, because you can't cheat. Like you don't actually cheat yourself. Like you didn't cheat the calories. You actually
cheated yourself.
Yeah. Like your body still got the calories. You didn't cheat that shit. Like, the only thing you cheated on was and your determination and everything like that, and your future. So we do rewards. Like, okay, if you're going to have that one thing, you're going to make sure you earn it before and after, and we're very diligent about that. And that normally comes later on in the process. That normally comes like when people are at like your stage, where it's like, okay, let's see if we can rebuild that relationship. Or for some people, it's like true sugar addicts. We just can't have it, they just can't have it anymore. Like we've had several clients that processed sugar is no longer in their future at all.
And what's funny is that I've had like a whopping 2, or let's say again, because I don't want to underestimate anything, 3 cheat days since I've done this. Mm-hmm. And you physically feel, it's not mental, you physically feel like shit. To me, it's like, I don't even want to have the cheat day.
Right.
Like there was one that was like, oh, it's a family coming over. I'm like, I don't care. I'll still just have a salad and a piece of grilled chicken because I feel physically horrible later. Yeah. It's not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I was dieting down, because I was like 265, when I dieted down to like into the 180s, if I had that one day, like, dude, it's such a bad thing, because I would feel bad. Like I would go out to dinner with my wife, and like, and in my head, I'm like, enjoy your fucking time, like, but at the same time, I became so food focused, and that's how it goes the other way sometimes too. Like sometimes people get fucked up and they make it more about like, they trade one addiction for another addiction. And that's something that we really watch out for, my wife and I, because if they get addicted to counting calories and they get addicted to losing weight, some people get addicted to losing weight. And that's bad too, because eventually you will not, you know what I mean? Like eventually you will not lose weight, and you'll get to your homeostasis point. And in reality, that's when some people have trouble, and then they fucking fall off the rails, So, and my suggestion to you is like, make sure that you're preparing yourself for when the weight stops.
Absolutely.
Coming off, because if you don't, that's a whole other depression. Like we've had people lose weight and be like, I don't even know who I am anymore, and I can understand that. When last summer, I've been talking about it a lot lately because I think it's very important. Last summer, I made an effort to get as lean as I've ever been, at a bigger size. Because when I was in high school, I ran all the time, so I was skinny as fuck, But last summer, I got down like 8% body fat, which is like the leanest I've ever been, right? I fucking hated myself. I hated how I looked. I hated how I felt. I fucking hated it. I hated it, So it's this weird thing where you have to find a good point where I'm not food focused and stuff like that. So that's my biggest advice to you. And of course, for being on here, my thank you to you will be with whenever you have any questions, about your weight loss. Please do hit me up, and my wife and I will gladly help you, because I think your story is amazing. We're going to talk about how you did it here next, but I think your story is amazing, and more people need to hear shit like this, because it's got to be frustrating. And I have plenty of clients that talk about this, but how frustrating it is for you to see these people say like, well, there's nothing wrong with being obese and blah, blah, blah. How frustrating it is for somebody like you. Sometimes they even like shame people that have lost weight like you. Like that, like it's like you're the enemy.
I've had that. Yep. And what bothers me is that even back, it started when I made, because that's part of the reason I made the video. Granted, I wasn't in the mindset yet to actually lose the weight, but in 2016, I made a video called "Being Fat Is Not Okay."
Yeah.
And I was fat, and I'm like, look, I'm morbidly obese. This isn't right. And to see people, these influencers who I know get paid good money to normalize something it's a sickness, it's an illness, it's something that you are not well, and make it like, oh, you know, it like it's an ethnicity or it's a religious practice or a sexual preference. No, you are not healthy.
Yeah.
And to try to normalize that and be on Instagram with millions of followers sitting there being morbidly obese and eating ice cream and being like, this is okay. No, you're not. You are just, and I know because I was there, so I could say this, you're defeated. Mm-hmm. You feel like you could never lose the weight, and you're just hoping that people will accept you because you gave up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's like watching an alcoholic at the bar smashing shots.
Absolutely.
It really is. I mean, I have a video coming out this week that's basically about that. Like, you know, and YouTube just fucking hates me because like I've been saying like how can you monetize this shit? Like the mukbangs and shit like that. Like I get demonetized for swearing, and I expect that. I don't even fucking care. You know what I mean? Like there's no way this is going to be fucking monetized.
You have your businesses. Yeah, you're looking just to get your word out there.
Right. So I don't fucking care. The only time I do care is because when they do demonetize it, then it stops it puts the video down in progression. Like
in the algorithm. Yeah.
But so that bothers me a little bit, but still the people that need to hear it, I think are going to find it no matter what, because I'm pretty good with the tags and shit like that. Right. But, you know, I don't know how they're monetizing that shit. I don't know how that shit's being monetized. Like, it's so unhealthy. It is like watching a heroin addict shoot up. When you see somebody just smashing a whole bunch of sugary shit, like that is 500 pounds, like that is horrible. Like,
you read my mind.
Yeah.
There was a video from a YouTuber that I won't name because I don't want anyone throwing mud at anybody, where they went to a 7-Eleven and chugged this big sugary drink. And the guy was extremely, maybe even bigger than I was when I was at my biggest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everyone's watching this guy kill himself.
Yeah.
And if the livelihood becomes them doing that, abusing their bodies, they're going to accelerate and do it even more because like, oh man, I can't even lose weight even if I wanted to, because I need to make a living abusing my body.
Well, there's many of them that are like that too, or many of them that get stuck being a character. You know, after we talk about weight loss, we're gonna talk about YouTube and how it is leading to. I mean, we're gonna stay on topic, but for a lot of these people, YouTube is the thing that's assisting their addiction. It's assisting killing them, I think.
Social media as a whole, yes.
Social media as a whole, yeah, because for some of them, it's not. You know, it's not just YouTube. Like, it's amazing how most of them are. It's just social media. It's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. They're like addicted.
Facebook for me is the worst. Every time I'm on my Facebook feed, it's 15-pound hamburgers, grilled cheese wrapped in bacon and deep fried, and I'm just like, they're trying to kill everybody that's on the feed.
Yeah, and it's like, and you're talking about the Chug guy. There's a guy, Badlands Chugs. I don't know if that's who you were talking about, but
yes, it is. You named him, so yeah, it is.
But he seems like a fucking great guy. You know what I mean? Like, I refuse to make a video about him because one, he seems like a great guy. You know, he does. He is just absolutely killing himself, though. Like, I mean, there's not a doubt in my mind that he is like, he's got to be diabetic. If he's not diabetic, he's got some of the best genes ever. But normally, people of his ethnicity are more susceptible to type 2 diabetes, yet alone the like 500 grams of sugar he probably takes in a fucking day. That's so mind-blowing to me. I mean, you talked about the sugary drinks. How did, like, when you started losing weight, what did you do and what are you doing now?
Well, it's kind of funny. Like, I started in very late 2018, and because I was going through a very stressful, whatever the case may be, there were nights I couldn't sleep, and like I didn't get a wink of sleep. So I'm like, you know what? This is insane. I went to my doctor and I'm like, look, I'm having severe anxiety issues, and I also want a full panel of blood work done. Mm-hmm. Everything came back great, but I dodged. I was a train speeding towards a wall because my sugar was a little bit high. Mm-hmm. So for a month, she wanted me to prick my finger and check my blood work. Luckily, because I stopped in the nick of time, my sugar levels were fine because I was really changing my lifestyle. So that's why when I see these guys doing this, man, I'm like, I know what you're doing. You're a train with no brakes heading towards a wall.
Yep.
And it's scary. And when they, like I said, when they make their lives making a living doing that, they feel like, oh, even if I do get sick, I can't stop doing it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the biggest problem.
So, and I apologize. What I started doing was, is I learned portion control. I stopped with, I don't use bread. There's something I use. I wish I bought like 20 bags of them. I use this thing called cocoa. There's 16 calories with like no carbs in them. And I substitute, if I have a turkey burger, I put that as my bread. And because, one slice of bread, even wheat bread, could have 150 calories in it. So I could go from having 300 calories just in bread to having 32.
And a lot of sugar too. People don't even understand it. Like
Yes.
Commercialized bread has a lot of sugar in it. Refined flour and sugar are the two most addictive substances, believe it or not, for people. They really are.
And you know this better than me, but carbohydrates also can turn into sugar, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. But you're better off you're better off with like I get almost all my carbohydrates from non-processed items like potatoes, sweet potatoes, those sorts of things. I don't or other vegetables. I really don't do pasta. I really don't do. If I do pasta, it's rice noodles. Just to be honest, because there's less refined flour in it. It's like a rice flour. It's less processed. But I try to stay away from it at all possible costs. I really do.
I have spaghetti squash if I have any kind of pasta dish.
We do zucchini.
I like zucchini too. I just had zucchini a couple days ago. Yeah, I absolutely love it, and I do not miss pasta because of it. So
at all, because I miss the flavors of shit. Like, I mean, I really do. The texture, pasta. Yeah, I'll miss it. I grew up on bread and pasta. I'm American Italian from Pittsburgh.
Me too. I'm American Italian from New York.
Yeah, so I mean, we grew up on that shit. I was shocked. Like for a while, it was tough. I did miss it, but now it's gotten a lot. It's like my body hit a threshold where I'm like, it's a lot better. So keep going. What else did you do?
I learned portion control. A perfect example too is not only did I change, like I now I have like grilled chicken or I'll have turkey burgers. And I never was really a big meat guy, even when I was very heavy set, but no longer go to get, everyone always used to say in the comment section, it was funny. I bet Rich goes to McDonald's every day. I didn't, but I was a big pizza guy. No pun intended. And I would, whether I was making the pizza or going to a pizzeria, that was one of my big downfalls. But the thing is too, beyond that is, perfect example, like the other day I had grilled chicken for dinner, and as a side dish I'll make with they're called cauliflower tots, and I'm like, you know what, instead of having the tots, even though they're not bad for you, I'm like, am I really hungry for them? And the thing that I learned is, if you're really still hungry or not, 99.9% of the time you're fucking not.
You're not. Yeah.
So I didn't have the tots. So I just had some grilled chicken. I had the salad. And you know what's funny? And this, to anyone out there who wants to lose weight, do this. If you're not sure if you're still hungry, one, you're probably not, and two, step away from the food.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you'll even forget that you'll be like, oh man, I'm full. Like, oh crap, wow, I did not need that extra piece of chicken or the extra side.
We have people drink 16 ounces. If you're trying to decide whether you're hungry or not, drink 16 ounces of water, and then if you still feel like you're hungry, go from there. Like, because I mean, if it's just a volume thing, oftentimes people drink that water and be like, oh, I can't drink it all. That means you're full. Like, I mean, the other hunger cue, which is why you can't intuitively eat when you're obese, but the other hunger cue is coming from a hormonal response you've had to the food, or an emotional response, and or both. So what else have you done? Like, as the weight started coming off, how did you approach it?
Instead of having, I never go to Starbucks anymore. Starbucks is completely, if I do go there, I'll get like a black iced coffee with nothing in it, because my excuse I used to tell myself was, oh, I'm getting a soy caramel macchiato. But if anything, that has just as many calories as whole milk, if not maybe a little more. I don't know how much they're putting in, but it's still, think about it, I was probably having 400 calories per drink. And sometimes I would go there twice a day, and that's not including my other coffee consumption with Coffee Mate.
Yeah, that's 800. By the way, that's 80 to 100 pounds a year.
Wow, that I didn't know. That's crazy. But it was awful.
For every 100 calories, above your caloric maintenance level, you can look at that being 10 pounds in a year.
Oh my God. That's so it's amazing and scary at the same time that I was ingesting that much from a liquid.
Okay, so that's why like we were saying, when you cut out just the 1,200 calories you're probably taking in liquid, that probably set you on a very good path. The problem was dealing with the addiction.
Yes,
that's the problem.
Because it was a double whammy addiction. I was addicted to the sugar, like you said, and I was also addicted to the heavy amount. Because caffeine would be like a substitute for my sleep.
Oh yeah, wow, I love caffeine. So I still do.
I'm still a caffeine crackhead, but I don't go overboard with it like I used to. Yeah. And my other thing too is I used to eat, and I never do it now at all. I used to eat late at night, and it used to be like carbohydrates, like breadsticks, and I would dip it in like the Smart Balance butter, which is still terrible for you because I would eat it right before I went to bed.
Yeah. See, the just so you know, the timing of it doesn't really matter that much. Your body doesn't really recognize it like that. However, what happens is you're setting yourself up for failure for the next day because you're going to wake up hungrier than what you normally would be. Like I personally, I cut myself off a couple hours before I go to bed because one, if I have my dinner meal is my most voluminous meal. I wouldn't say biggest because it's not necessarily the most caloric, but it's my most voluminous meal, right? Because it's when I eat the majority of my veggies, because my first meal of the day is normally all fat and all protein. It's very ketogenic is my first meal. So that way it's not triggering an insulin response. It's going to make me hungry the rest of the day. It's like kind of very full, very satiating. And I get most of my protein in during the day, right? So for the evening, I'll have like a normal portion of protein, huge amount of veggies, and maybe a little starch, depending on what my goals are at the time, right? So if I do that, then I'm able to not feel hungrier later on, and I wake up the next day, not craving anything, not just kind of dehydrated, and going for it. Now, what's with the pickles, by the way? I gotta ask you that.
That started,
dude. When I said I was going to interview you, first of all, we'll talk about the YouTube thing here in a second, but that was the biggest thing. Like people started sending me fucking pictures of pickles. I'm like, what the fuck? Is this like a weird dick pic thing you're fucking doing? Like what's going on?
There was an unboxing that I did where I pretended that Richard Simmons was there. And in the unboxing, I opened it up. There was a giant cucumber, and I ate it in a very interesting way. That would probably, I would say I wouldn't say PG-13, but let's say PG plus.
I got you. So,
and it's lasted since then.
Yeah, it took on a life of its own. Apparently, I thought like you were using pickles to help diet because like people like I started craving the weirdest things. Like when I started losing weight, people still make fun of me because I put mustard on everything. I get it. Yeah, I crave the tangy of the vinegary of the mustard and the salt. I crave it. And I'll put it on fucking everything I eat. Like I don't eat cereal or anything like that. Anything weird, and I don't drink milk, but I will put mustard on damn near fucking anything,
I put hot sauce on anything. I love hots because the hot sauce, the ones I buy are 0 calories, and that's like my ketchup.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing too. People don't realize how the condiments and the dressings and shit like that. It's like we call it when people come, my wife and I, for coaching, we call it the low hanging fruit. Like, okay, don't drink your calories and let's see what you dip stuff in. People are like, well, I'm going to miss my pancakes. Fuck, you can have a pancake here and there, depending on what you make it with. And if you fucking don't put butter and syrup on it.
A gallon of syrup.
Yeah. Well, they're like, well, I don't want it then. I'm like, then you didn't want the pancake. You just wanted the fucking syrup, stop lying to yourself. And that's a big thing. You stop lying to yourself. You stop lying to yourself, that's, I think, the nature of our society right now, where people, they have this best case scenario in their head that they build up in their mind, and then they fucking put it as a lie. Like you talked about it in your other video, and I mean, he's gonna fucking cringe so hard when he fucking watches this, because I know he watches everything I fucking do. But you talked about Boogie, but my one statement about him where he's like, I'll have 10 more good years, and then I'll be done. Like that's not how that's like the fucking ideal. First of all, what a fucking scary thing that's an idealized thing in somebody's mind. 10 more years of life when you're in your fucking early 40s. I mean, that's fucking crazy. But that's not an ideal. It's going to be unless he still changes, it's going to happen. It's unfortunate because while I think he's a complete whack nut, he really does need help. He really does need help.
And I want to see him get it. And that's why I made my video too. It wasn't to attack him. It was I want to see him. And that's why I used you as an example of valid criticism, because when you do this, it's very easy to anyone who criticizes, because I used to be this way. And that's why I made the video too, because I kind of understood what he was going through, even to a smaller degree, because my channel is nowhere near as big as his. you have to learn the difference between a troll and valid criticism. Is
Right.
something, and I'm like, Alan from Everyday Fitness is a perfect example of someone who is giving valid criticism. Someone saying that they're looking forward to death, which he did say. I watched his stream.
Oh yeah,
That's not healthy. You shouldn't be looking forward to death, especially when you're 40 something years old.
You know, and unfortunately for me, the position I'm in is I also like I find myself in this position where I feel for him. Like I feel for him and I feel for Tess Holiday. I feel for all these people that are stuck. Like they're stuck in this persona. Like he still does the Francis shit. Like somebody sent me a clip of him fucking chugging Mountain Dew, you know, the other day. And I just like, God, what the fuck, man? Like, you know, that shit is this like, that's not funny. You know, I mean, like it's not amusing. Like I did not find that like the fucking young children that look up to him because he's a video gamer. Like he's talking to fucking people a third his fucking age most of the time, you know, and it's disgusting. I know it's out of his problems, but it's fucking disgusting. And then he says, you know, I'm good with dying. You know, like what the fuck?
And if there's someone on the edge listening to that, they could be like, all right, you know, if he's, you know, an influencer and he's saying that, maybe it is my time to go. And you brought up something interesting too. I'm sorry, I apologize if I cut you off.
No.
Is I was also first off, I did it for my kids, I did it for me, and I did it for my family because me being healthier is better for everybody. But I was also very tired of if you're a gamer, especially an adult gamer, you have to be a fat slob. It's the stereotype. There's always, and it's not true, but I was perpetuating it. And as someone who is, I hate this term, but influencer, I was doing that, whether I liked it or not. And I was also very sick of that too. That was another consolation of me losing weight, is I could show you, hey guys, if you pick up a controller, it doesn't mean you need to meet obese. You don't have to be obese. If I could talk today.
Which is awesome because even if it's not your kids, okay, say you didn't even have kids, right? But as you know, when you're just out there, I mean, you have to realize that when people look up to you, you know, when there's a certain responsibility. Like I had somebody bark back at me, like one of Boogie's fans barked back, well, you swear all the time. Like I swear, like what that is so equating like talking about dying early to saying 4-letter words
and looking forward to it.
and looking forward to it. Like the cope is huge. And here's the thing: what Boogie's life kicks fucking ass. You know what I mean? Like it truly does. Like the man has disposable income, gets to play video games for a fucking living. He can choose to expose himself as much as he wants to. It's a fucking choice, right? I think his addictive personality. He's got other shit, and he's been through a ton of shit. Absolutely, but a lot of people have been through a ton of shit. So if somebody's been through the similar shit to him, you know, in his life, which is horrific. The shit he's been through is horrible.
He's been through terrible stuff.
Yeah, it's horrible. And I would hope that the people that put him through that shit were punished dearly. I personally believe that. I don't, the shit he's been through, the punishments in our society are not enough. I think if all of a sudden we started just like giving the death penalty to people that did to him what happened, I think that people would be able to control their urges a lot fucking better. But that's a whole other fucking subject that I try not to get involved in, you know. But when you're like that, his life rocks. So somebody's been through everything else that he's been through and is morbidly obese and all sorts of shit and can't afford the fucking surgery and still wants to fucking eat like shit. And then all of a sudden, here's him whose life kicks ass when they're broke in their apartment playing video games, looking up the Boogie, and then all of a sudden he says, "I'm good with another couple years." What the fuck does that tell that person? You know, like
who's in a much darker place.
In a much like his life fucking kicks ass.
But the one thing I will say, as a person who has dealt with anxiety and depression, even if the world is sunny around you, in your bubble, you could feel nothing but darkness.
Right.
And I'm not just, look, he's making mistakes, and I'm not trying to defend him for that. But as a person who's been there and hasn't been just in a tower looking down, I understand that sometimes the world could be great, but you could feel terrible. And I think that's part of the reason why he's making the choices that he's making, that he needs to get help to snap out of that.
I completely agree. In fact, and this is no shit, in his long tirade to me on Instagram, so many people want me to share those fucking things. The only thing I'll share is is something I've already shared before. I did send him the link to an inpatient facility. Like, I mean, in my mind, he needs serious, in-depth, both weight loss and mental counseling that can't be done while he's on social media. I think he's taking a break right now. He's taking a break because Keemstar basically made him take a break. But, you know, I feel for him. I feel I do. I feel for him. I feel for Tess. I feel for all these people that are locked into this. Like his shit was fucked up when he was still big and did the Francis characters and shit like that. But I think it's gotten way the fuck crazy since he's gotten the surgery. Like, I mean, he's off the fucking rails.
I think it's also the separation with his wife too. That maybe kind of, he even said, well, he said that, I'm not saying anything, like he said that he didn't do the right mental work after he had the surgery. And he said he was even in worse place due to the fact that he's now divorced.
So do the mental work. You know, like, I mean, like, don't you owe it to yourself and owe it to your fans and shit like that. Like, you can't in one sentence, in my mind, you can't in one sentence say, I love you guys. If it wasn't for my fans, I'd have nothing. And then fucking put out a message that might be dangerous to some of them. You know, like
what I was going to say to Boogie is that, look, he may, you know, if he goes and gets the proper therapy and psychotherapy, what he needs, he may come out on the other side feeling better and may look at YouTube and be like, I'm done with this, you know?
Yeah.
So if Boogie watches this, he needs to worry about the number one, which is himself.
Absolutely.
Don't feel beholden to the people on YouTube. Yeah. Don't feel beholden to the people on social media. Get physically and mentally healthy for yourself, because you only have one life, and to look forward to only living at most another decade is not the outlook to have.
It's just it's horrific. I mean, it makes me like, again, it's like I think he said that on a stream on a stream video or whatever. But that's the thing too. He's so addicted to social media. Like when I made the To the Family and Friends video, he has a large Reddit community. You know, that was completely. I didn't do much. When I first started Every Damn Day Fitness, I started an account everywhere so that I could secure the name, because that's just smart, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't use like the Reddit at all. And somebody sent me a fucking link where he's like basically telling his fucking audience to fucking come get me, you know? And I had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. So I got the post. I made another video about it. Like, hey man, like, you need to back the fuck, you know, tell me something I said that wasn't true. And that's when he fucking like lost it. Like, that's when the whole Instagram tirade. I just think he's addicted to social media. Like he's in such a dark place that his addictions go deeper than that, you know? Like, and I just think that like, it's like you with sugar. Like you should never go back to getting Starbucks drinks that have sugar in them.
I never do, ever.
Well, yeah, but you should never ever should, like ever, because that will be that's a path you don't want to go on. I don't think he's going to be able to be on social media and live.
Well, it's kind of funny, and this is the reason why I made the video too. I had like, it's very easy to fall into the black hole of social media. You're always going to get someone, and it's tough. It's human nature that when you know that they accuse you of doing something stupid, or if you made a mistake, it's you want to defend yourself, or you want to, and you just start to become addicted to constantly, I guess you could say, white knighting for yourself. And I was doing that. Luckily, I had a friend say, hey, Rich, you keep doing this, you're going to kill your YouTube career, because you're going to be just known for drama like other YouTubers that I won't name out there. So, and he's kind of doing the same thing right now. Like, I still slip up from time to time because I'm human, but you have to shut your mouth and avoid that drama, because you're giving the people what they want, is sucking you into it and hurting your brand. And that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, the mass people that are unsubbing him and stuff like that. Like, you know, here's the thing. Like, I don't think he realizes, and as a last thought on him, my thought to him, and you know, because I really do wish he could be like a beacon for people. I really do. It is still not too late. You know what I mean? Like, he could, if he really wants social media popularity, use that addiction to beat another addiction. You know what I'm saying? Like, if all of a sudden you got serious, Boogie, about really, really getting healthy, about really, really, really setting a good example for people, you would absolutely destroy the internet. I mean, it would. I mean, he would blow up so big if he would get serious about it. It would be so. It would reverse all the damage that's been done, in my opinion, and it just make him more popular than ever. You know, and he could be, you know, literally the poster child of getting, mental health stigma and, physical stigma and everything. All that stuff. He could be a beacon of hope for people. But the issue is, I don't really think he's capable of getting there. I mean, it's like almost like a multiple personality thing too. Like, he's very different on Twitch than he is on YouTube, that he is on Twitter, that he is on Instagram. So I think it's like these sides of him that have found an outlet in each different one where he's able to like imbibe into it. Like I had somebody be like, Francis is actually him. Everything else is an act. And I don't necessarily believe that, but at the same time,
I don't either.
At the same time, like if you read his fucking Twitter, sometimes it's just like, why does he comment on half the shit that he comments on? Like, I
used to do that too, and it's a mistake. Yeah.
I mean, I stay in my motherfucking lane. Like, I mean, people ask me about politics and shit like that all the time. I'm like, I don't like any of them. That's what I say. I don't like any of them.
Oh God, I used to be such a jackass with politics, always stating my opinions. I won't do it now, just because it's you want to get trolls and you want to get people to hate you. Doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on.
Yeah,
you will get people because there's extremists on both sides.
Well, here's my thing. There's obese people on both sides. To me, I don't give a fuck how you vote. Like if you come to me for help, I don't care how you fucking vote. I don't care what you want to identify as. I don't care I don't care what sexual preference you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what language you speak. I don't care what the fuck you're doing. If you come to me because you want to get healthy, I will fucking help you. That to me, that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm not here to judge you on any of that other bullshit. I don't give a fuck. I personally believe that everybody should be healthy. Everybody owes themselves health. That's a big thing too. Like I see this meme all the time. You don't owe anybody health. You owe it to your fucking self. You owe it to your family.
Of course.
You owe it to your family, your friends, your kids, the people that give a fuck about you. Your future self. You owe health to your future fucking self. The person that doesn't want to have their ass wiped by a caretaker when they're 55. You owe that person your health. You
owe yourself to be able to wash your ass better in the shower. Trust me, I know. Probably too much information, but trust me, I know.
It's a reality. It really is. People act like it's some sort of, glamorizing something that you can't even really clean yourself well is just so mind-numbingly dumb to me. I don't know how we've gotten to this stage in society. Like, it seems like in the last 2 years too. Like when I first started YouTube, fat acceptance really wasn't a big thing. And then all of a sudden, like, as I was just making jokes, cracking on people, fucking making like roast videos and shit like that. And then all of a sudden, in like the last year, a year and a half, I'm like, where the fuck are these people coming from? And it got on my radar because I went through I did my own weight loss because I personally knew I was hurting myself. Like my wake up moment was when I had a portion of time where I was trying to gain weight and eat a bunch of calories I was going to train for powerlifting, right? And I was getting much, much stronger. And all of a sudden, it's like I gained that 5 extra pounds, and all of a sudden my performance just fucking fell through the floor, right? And I felt tired all the time. And then like the one day I'm like, and my wife looked tired, and she normally is like, my wife is awesome. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. And I was like, honey, are you okay? You look really tired. And she was like, yeah, I am. And I was like, oh shit, I did something. Like,
I know that.
I did something, and it was because I was snoring like a fucking freight train, So turns out I'm developing sleep apnea. That's why my performance is going down. That's why, because I'm not resting, my recovery, everything like that, right? So that was my wake up call. Like now I'm negatively affecting the people around me, So I lost fucking weight, and that's I owe it to her. I owe it to me. I owe it to our future. I owe it to my grandkids that aren't even born yet. And boy, if you're watching, not for a while, but I owe it to that. Like I owe a long, happy life to the people I love. Both my parents are elderly. My mother almost died a couple years ago. I owe her to be in good health just in case they need me to take care of them. Like I owe it to them. They took care of me for a long fucking time. I owe it to them. I owe it to my mother not to have to fucking stand over my casket. That's fucked up. It's so fucked up. And if anything, like YouTube has taught me, I would like for us to start talking about the craziness of YouTube. YouTube and social media has like opened my eyes to shit. Like the responsibility that I feel a lot of times with a larger and larger audience is kind of weird and amazing. It keeps you up at night. It's like having a lot of fucking children, mm-hmm. And I stress over like the choices I make, the videos I make. I stress over them a lot more than when I was just fucking having fun with it. Because don't get me wrong, I have fun, but my content is much more poignant and driven,
Your content is very important too, and it ties into what you were saying, because now like this whole, in the past couple or a few years, this whole fat acceptance movement. It's funny, as I'm losing weight and now I could shop at normal stores like Macy's and Kohl's, which I wasn't able to do. As I'm shrinking, they're offering bigger sizes. And the reason why they're offering the bigger sizes because they don't want to piss anybody off because they're going along with the fat acceptance. There was a time if I went there in 2014, I couldn't find a 2X shirt or 3X. Now it's like I went to a store, I'm not going to name it, and there was no XL, but there was 2XL and triple XL, and there was large. So I was screwed, but if I was still heavier, I could have found the right shirt.
Right. When I was at my biggest, I was like 265, and triple extra large was like what I had to wear. Double extra large fit me like I was a sausage, you know. Like I mean, because I'm really genetically broad across the shoulders to begin with. I still wear like a 50 regular jacket now at like right around 200 pounds. Like I'm a larger guy up top. Like, and it's genetic. My dad is 70-some years old. I can still stand behind him and you can't see me. You know, like I mean, he's just that wide. You know,
wow.
He's not fat. He's just very wide, very wide shoulders, right? And so I know that feeling. Like now I can fit into like extra large and double extra large, and I like extra larges being able to fit into them now because you find them a little easier. But man, I mean, like even this, like I remember buying a double extra large before, and now that double extra large, if I would buy the same one and compare it to a double extra large that I bought before that hasn't, you know, without shrinking, it's bigger. Like they've actually moved the sizing up, you know. So like,
yeah,
even a large, a large shirt is now
an extra large.
An extra large, yeah.
That's probably why I fit. Yeah, because I like, and it's. I go to these stores and it's funny because like I fit into like this is a double X, but I go into an extra large and the extra large is actually kind of big on me, and I'm like, this is a double X. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing too that's great about losing weight, and it kind of ties into what we're talking about right now, is not having to go to a big and tall shop, aka your fat as hell shop, and like this kind of shirt. You go to Kohl's and it's $10. You go there, it's 50 because I call it the fat tax. Mm-hmm. So they're like, oh, you have no other place to go because you're morbidly obese. So you have to buy it from us. So we're going to charge you $50 for a plain blue T-shirt.
You know, a lot of people bitch about like they call it the fat tax, but it takes more material. Like I was very well aware that when I would buy double X and up, it would cost more, but it just is because it takes more material. Like if you actually feel it, like. I'm floating in that range now where, you know, the extra large, like large, extra large, and double extra large, depending on the company, I own all three of them, right? The material for the same type of shirt on a double extra large is thicker than an extra large. Like it's actually a different, more sturdy material because it has farther distance between, you know? And people like complain about that a lot, like the price of being larger. And my argument is, then why don't you get smaller? Like I don't get it. Like, I mean, like food wise alone, so much, like and this is people, I'm just going to be honest with you. To be 450 pounds, you eat like shit. Like nobody,
of course,
nobody gets to be 450 pounds without taking in a lot of sugar, a lot of saturated fat, and a lot of processed foods. You just can't, like, you can't eat that many potatoes and vegetables and fruit and shit like that. And you just fucking can't. It's highly calorically dense food, and you're drinking a lot of calories probably also, you know, to be that size. Just fucking fact. Okay. So nobody like the amount of money spent on food alone, like, is a huge savings. We often tell people like that we're going to help them deal with their food addiction and stuff like that, that the price of our service is normally paid for by the reduction in what they eat, because if you're spending $10, think about it. If you spend $10 a day at fast food and you can change that, and that's one meal, motherfuckers. That's one.
One person, yeah.
Yeah, for one person. If you can change that to a regular meal, you're saving $7 a day. That's $200 a month. It's so fucking crazy.
It's a car
people
payment.
Don't see it. Yeah. I mean, it's more expensive. Your healthcare. I mean, shit. Like, I don't know about you, but once I realized I was starting to get sleep apnea, I could hiccup and be like, "Oh fuck, what's wrong?" Like once you actually admit it to yourself that you're too big, you're like every little fucking thing. Like
that's why I ran to the doctor. Yeah.
Yeah. Are my toes numb? Like that used to be a big thing for me. You know what I mean? Like, are my toes numb? Because I know what that's like. Like I've seen. I know I have friends that have had to have toes chopped off and shit. You know what I mean? Like from diabetes, and that's fucking no. Absolutely not.
I saw what my father went through. He's still alive and well, but I saw what my father went through with diabetes, and when she told me like, oh, your sugar levels are a little elevated, let's start checking them. It's like, I'm like, I was already in the mindset already, but I was like, hell no, I am not becoming a diabetic. No chance in hell. And that was a good scare for me too, to be honest with you, because it really made sure that I was 150% ready to do this.
Yeah. Diabetes is something that is really, it's the real epidemic of our time that people don't talk about enough. And you can be of very what's considered a healthy weight and be diabetic. You absolutely can. It's if you like literally have a sustenance of almost only sugary items, you're probably going to end up being diabetic no matter how much calories you burn, because weight is a matter of energy expenditure, of energy balance. That's what weight is, right? But what you put in your body is how it affects your bodily systems. And a high processed sugar diet is almost guaranteed to lead to diabetes at some point in time in the future, especially if you're you have a predisposition for it genetically. And it is a terrible fucking disease. Expensive. Like without insurance, it's like $300 every 5 days without insurance. Just to fucking throw that number out there. It's fucking crazy, but it's real. You know, if you're an insulin dependent diabetic, it's like $300 of every 5 fucking days. So, I mean, that's just humongous, you know, and it is really bad. The reason why it happens to most obese people is because you don't get to be 400 pounds without taking in too much sugar. You just don't. Like, again, back to you're eating processed shit, right? So we're going to go on improvements. How much has your sleep improved?
Yes, it has improved. I mean, I've had, due to anxiety, I've had some problems sleeping, but it wasn't due to apnea or anything. But yes, it has improved greatly. Right.
How has your anxiety been?
My anxiety has decreased. It has decreased. Because
what happens is a lot of times people that eat out of balance, it fucks up their serotonin levels pretty severely too. You know, that's one of the things there's some research going on where L-tryptophan is a great thing to supplement for people that are trying to get over food addiction, because it helps level off their serotonin levels, you know? And it's emerging stuff. I'm going to make some videos about it in the future, so people don't fucking freak out on me and be like, blah, 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 blah. But, so your mobility, obviously, you know, have you done the thing where you go and do things that you couldn't before? Have you gone to an amusement park?
You know, what's funny is that, and I eat healthy at the restaurant, like I'll get salmon and vegetables, but I could now go into a restaurant and not worry about where I'm sitting because I'll fit into any booth. There was a time where I used to have to shimmy into the booth. So we'd have to get a table.
Right.
Don't have to do that anymore. I could just go to wherever the hell we go to. Don't have to worry about getting on a plane because I'll fit into a seat normally now. You know,
that's awesome. The plane thing is a big thing too. Like people,
no one realizes that. Yeah.
People bitch about that a lot. They're like, why would I have to pay for a second seat? Because you're taking up 2 seats worth of fucking space. You know, like, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just fact. You know, like, it's fucking geography. Like, if you buy a plot of land and the person has a plot of land next to you, and you happen to build a house that goes over onto their fucking plot of land, they don't owe you that portion of the plot of land. Like, they paid for it. You know, they get to fucking keep that shit. It's always amazing to me, the lack of logic. The reason why I asked is we have one of our clients has lost an absorbent amount of weight, and one of his moments was he couldn't ride the rides at amusement park with his family because he was too big.
Oh wow!
And now that he's lost the weight, he's like, he's making a plan to go to this amusement park, and my wife and I are probably gonna go there and ride the rides with him for a day, because like he's had an amazing story. We take it so personal and so serious. Like, it's such a fucking neat thing where he is like a little kid planning this thing out, you know? And it's because he wasn't able to ride these things. Like, and it's not discrimination against him. Like, he was 450.
It's just the reality of it. Yeah.
You're 425 pounds. You're not going to fucking be on a roller coaster, meant for kids and shit like that. If they would make it to fit you, a little kid would be endangered by it. You know, like, that's the thing. Like, let's start looking at the most fragile portion of our society, our children. Like, if we make airplane seats so big that it fits a 400-pound person, when you put a fucking kid in it, they're going to be in danger if something happens, because it's going to be too big for them.
Too big for them, yeah.
You know, it's stupid shit like that. So YouTube, man, let's talk about that real quick. 11 years, you said you've been on YouTube. That's fucking insane. what has changed in YouTube so much? Like, is that before they even put ads on fucking videos?
I started YouTube like 2008, and I didn't make a living off of YouTube until 2013. So I just want to let that be known. It wasn't like my job the entire time. It was, I got laid off from IBM and like, I'm bored and I can't even get a job working at McDonald's right now because the economy's so bad. So let me pass my time doing something. Oh yeah, the YouTube climate has definitely changed. I definitely feel for people who are like trying to garner a following now and to try to be where you can make a living off of it, because it's tough. It's a much tougher climate than it was even like 5 years ago.
Yeah. When I first got it, like my channel got monetized literally right at the adpocalypse. So like,
oh God,
I had like a pretty decent month where I was like, holy fuck, I didn't expect to make this money in a year, get a load of month, and then like made no money for the rest of the year. But and with my content, I don't actually expect it to make money, from it. Any money that we do make on YouTube, we normally reinvest into our businesses to try to like take better care of people and stuff like that, or we invest, we put it away, But I find it a little like interesting how it is hard. Like, I'm an anomaly. Like, fat acceptance created me. Like they need to accept that, because they do. They absolutely created my space, the space for me, right? Because before this, I was just making roast videos and stuff like that, and it's funny and stuff like that, but I wasn't going to get big. Like, there's no way that a middle-aged fat bald guy swearing in a car is going to fucking get huge. I was just doing comedy, right? But it's such a bad statement on society. I say this all the time. It pisses my wife off when I say this, but not pisses her off, but she doesn't like when I self-degrade myself. But people should think about this. For a middle-aged guy who's I'm knowledgeable and I'm confident in myself, but beyond that, I've never trained a superstar. I've never trained a professional athlete. I've never done this. I've never done that. For me to have a voice, that's how fucking crazy shit is. That's how bad the fitness people are. That's how ridiculous all the get fit quick schemes are, and how bad health is in our social media world. Is that I actually have a following because these people are so outlandish. When I can just get in front of a camera, no special effects, in a fucking weird ass green room in an apartment, and fucking talk shit, or in my car and talk shit, swear a lot, and just state facts that are irrefutable, and that garners a following. To me, that should say things to people. Like, that should say, what are you doing wrong?
What bothers me about it too is with these people that are doing this fat acceptance movement, and oh look, I'm probably at least 100 pounds overweight and I'm eating ice cream. For all the hard work I put in, and it doesn't discourage me in any way, I almost feel like it's like they're spitting in my face.
Yeah.
Like, okay, fine. You gave up and you just want to accept being the weight that you are because you gave up. It's not that you're happy that way. I know for a fact you're lying and you're not happy that way. But when you do this and you try to influence people to be like, oh, I'm going to stay 200 pounds overweight, it's taking all the hard work that I put in, which I'm doing it for me and that's all I care about. But all the hard work I put in, spitting in my face. That's how I feel.
Well, and they're literally telling you to a large degree that you're fat phobic. Like, I've seen that before too. Any intentional weight loss is fat phobic.
I am, because I don't want to be sick and dead. So yeah, I am.
I actually have a video called "You're Damn Right I'm Fat Phobic." Like, I'm fat phobic as fuck. I know what it does to people. Like, I am terrified of being morbidly obese. Like, fucking terrified. Being fat phobic is what stops me from ordering pizza every day. It really is. Being fat phobic is what stops me from eating a bunch of desserts and shit like that, because I know what type 2 diabetes does to a motherfucker. You're goddamn right I'm fat phobic, because I always say this. It is because my common sense and my survival instincts are working in conjunction. Like,
everyone should be like. That's what everyone should really like. Look, I know I'm still fat too, by the way, but I can't explain to the people out there who are just like, oh, fat acceptance. And not to bring up Boogie again, but he's like, oh, I feel great at 350 pounds. Boogie, listen to me. I am now 268. I was 350. Now, at that point, I already lost 60 or 70 pounds. I feel a million times better at 268 than I did at 350. And I know at 200 or 220, I'm going to feel a million times better than I do now.
Yeah.
Don't accept being sick. That's basically what you're saying. I'm accepting a disease.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Would there be a meth addict acceptance? Would there be? No, there wouldn't be. It's the same thing. It's not, like I said before, an ethnicity. It's not a religion. It's not a sexual preference. It is you not being well, and that should not be accepted. And you shouldn't want to accept it for your own sake.
And the problem is when people that glamorize it, that's why I step in, because it is so easy for people to view people like Tess Holliday's life kicks ass too. Tess Holliday gets her nails done, her hair's done, always professionally done, gets to travel around the world because she's a model. Listen, if my plea to you, if you're Tess's size and you're working at McDonald's, your life is not fucking glamorous. You are not going to have the pampering she has. And I can watch her walk and tell you that woman's in pain. Like, I know how the human, I'm a personal trainer, and I've also been big. Like, I can tell you her knees fucking hate her. And I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's like an open lie we tell ourselves. It's disgusting. Like,
and to question, what bothers me is to question it now. And it's not us doing it to berate. And I say, I don't want any of these people to be berated. I want them to be treated like human beings. I'm not looking to have any kind of abuse thrown their way.
Of course not.
But we're saying it. And I know, again, I still have weight to go. As someone who was much bigger, you're not well. And we don't want to see people end up hurting themselves because you're trying to be like, oh, it's great. It's fat. And they have I think there's a show called Fat and Fabulous Life. It's not fabulous. I know firsthand it's not fabulous.
It's the rhetoric behind it. And unfortunately, because so many people are overweight, I took a walk today. I was going to make this into a video for tomorrow, but I took a walk today. I bought a massage for my wife because she works her fucking ass off. So I bought a massage for my wife. And in the area that I took her to go to massage, I just walked around to see some of the shops because we're getting ready to move away from Pittsburgh, so I want to fucking check all that shit out, right? I'm around fitness people a lot. It's like most of the time, and you know how YouTube is. Most of the time, you spend alone. Like, it's me and my wife in the studio. That's it.
I know.
And most of the time, you spend it just the two of you. And then I go to the gym, so I see other fit people, right? Society's really fucked, man. I walked past a kid who was probably like 14 years old, had to be like 280 pounds, only like 5'5", 5'6", just so many people that need to lose 75 pounds or more, that I walk past. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm really fucking failing. I really am. And part of it is because there's so many obese and overweight people that they don't society doesn't want us to get smaller because the people that make money off of them, such as
bigger,
such as the fast food companies, the soda companies, the people don't want them to not consume as much as they're consuming. That's the thing. It's a huge thing. It's
profit before people.
Absolutely, it is.
It was said, I was actually at the mall too, and I saw this really heavy set guy with his kid, and you could tell by how he was walking that the pain that he was in. He probably made me at 420 or whatever my biggest was look skinny, and I'm just like, man, one, you're not going to be here to see your kid grow up if you keep up what you're doing, and two, you just know he's not enjoying life because I was there and I know.
Yeah, to me, that the lies we're telling ourselves are just killing ourselves in the society. There's not a reason. There's not a reason to do it. I refuse it. There's not a reason besides money. The healthcare industry makes tons of money off obese people. Tons of money off obese people. And people
cha-ching.
People can argue that fact all they fucking want, but they make tons of money. Obese people go to the doctor more. They get sick more often. They're more prone to chronic illnesses. They're more prone to long-term disease. It's a serious fucking thing, and I find it egregious that way. The sugar industry, everything like that, it's a matter of money. It's not a matter of health. The healthcare industry, even our healthcare industry is not we treat people. We don't prevent shit,
and those diets in the box love it too, because They
Yeah.
know that, it's, I tried all of them, man. And I mean, if they worked for some people out there, great. But I could tell you right now that they love that, people keep getting fatter and fatter because they keep making more money off of the failures of people.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, well, that's one a statistic. There's a statistic out there that 95% of all diets fail. I just made a video about it. And okay, I would love to see the study on that, like a legitimate actual study that actually produces that fucking number, because I can't find one. I can find one that kind of says something like that. But here's the thing. That means it's 5%. I don't know about you, but I'll be in that 5% if it saves my life. Like, I'll fucking bust my ass, And if that one fails, I'll do another one. It's like technically, if it's 95% failure rate, that means you only need to try 20 diets, and eventually you'll find one. I mean, like, it's math,
What I think people think with those diets, because I know this is what I thought, is that, if I have a box or that I can only eat out of this box, I'll be fine and I could do it even if I don't have the willpower. If you're not ready up here, I don't care what you have in front of you. That was the thing with me, and that's what made those fail for me. And you have to be ready to go psychologically. It doesn't matter how you're doing the diet. If you're not ready psychologically, it doesn't matter where you are, you're still going to fail.
Yeah, I agree. They need to be ready, but I think the job of society, and that's one of the reasons why me and my friend Dash from Swole Enormous is in the chat. I can see him, but me, him, a bunch of other people are starting to really try to open people's eyes, because in reality, we need to convince these people to be ready. Like, we need to have them to have their aha moment. And that's why I try to put like very plain, very true statistics out there. Here's the thing. I'm holding back still too, because I just know YouTube's ready to be like, I'm sorry, I just saw something in the comments. I'm going to take care of it in a second. But I just know that it's not going to get there if we can't. Like, we have too many people trying to convince other people that it's healthy, and to have an aha moment, like we're reaching a stage now where if people don't change the path, we're going to have a generation, like this generation is going to not outlive the
generation.
Yeah. It's that people don't seem to understand how bad societally that is. Like, economically, it's horrible, because we need that generation to help support the older generation when they can no longer work. That's actually how our society is kind of set up. And it is just not a good sign for the race in general, for the human race. Like, when life expectancy starts going down, that normally happens through extinction events. That's normally the onset of literally extinction events. And, obese people have a harder time procreating. It's stuff like that. So if their life expectancy goes down and they have less babies, here's a fucking newsflash for you, people. That's not actually too great. And I'm sure we're going to, the world's overpopulated, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Stop that shit, because in reality, everybody knows it's a bad thing. It is really a bad thing for society. And I think that having you on was, I appreciate you. We've been on for about an hour now.
Not a problem.
Having you on was awesome. I really appreciate it. If there's anything my wife can do for you, that's off the record. I mean, just so you know, you can reach out to us at any time. It will not be shared. We do not share our client information ever. And we would happily, if you hit a sticking point or just need some advice, dude, we are here for you, because I think we should encourage more people like you to speak up. And that's what I plan on doing with this series. More people like you to speak up that have lost weight, why they lost weight. And you've done a great job with your audience, putting it out there. I really fucking appreciate that shit. I really, really do.
And I'll end this with this. Don't ever feel like it's too late and that you have to give up, because I used to feel like that. You can lose weight, you can feel better, and you don't have to go under the knife to do it.
Mm-hmm.
People used to say that to me, and I've lost 160, 150 pounds, and I haven't gone under the knife.
Right.
You do it. You just have to have the mindset here. And once you have that mindset and you do that lifestyle change, things will fall into place.
Absolutely. If you have a sugar addiction or a food addiction, get help for that. Really. Especially the sugar addiction, the first couple weeks are going to absolutely fucking suck. Just being real.
It's like any addiction. Yep.
Yeah. It's going to absolutely fucking suck, but it is not too late. And if you are, trust me on this, if you are going to get surgery, weight loss surgery, do not fuck yourself into thinking that it's going to do the job for you. Okay. People that are like 500-600 pounds, they should get weight loss surgery to save their fucking life so they can have the time, buy themselves the time to try to deal with that, to deal with that shit. Okay. But if they don't change their behavior, you're still going to die soon. Like, I mean, like, there's sometimes when they like, there are very, very good doctors that perform that demand you go through psychological counseling, that demand that a psychiatrist sign off on you. They demand you lose X amount of weight first. They demand that sort of stuff. That's one that you want if you're 500 or 600 pounds and you've tried everything and you are getting closer to death. If you're immobile, pretty much, you might need to investigate that. My thought process has changed on that greatly in the last year. I've met some women from one of the shows, Family by the Ton, that both had the surgery. And Amanda from that show, if she wouldn't have gotten the surgery, she'd be dead. Straight up. Like she needed something that was going to save her life. Her obesity had caused endometrial cancer because it's an estrogen-driven cancer, and fat tissue produces more estrogen. And she needed to get a weight, like she's reduced her body size in half in like a year and a half.
Oh my God.
And she is about to finally have the surgery for her cancer. Like, so she still got lucky that it didn't ravage her, So,
I think I heard about that. Yeah, she couldn't have the surgery. She had to lose the weight before she could have a surgery on the cancer. That's crazy. Yeah, I heard about that.
Because the only way that the surgery can be done, they have to tilt the person back. Mm-hmm. And if she would ever have gone like that, she was so big. When somebody gets that big, like if they fall backwards and they land on a back incline, the weight of the mass inside of their stomach, like the adipose tissue on the outside and the visceral fat that's like inside your abdominal cavity, comes back and kind of crushes everything.
Oh my God.
So if they would have had her like that, it would have caused her to have congestive heart failure. It would have been smashing her lungs and stuff like that. So they couldn't tilt her back enough to get it. So they had to remove her. They had to remove they had to have her get the surgery. And she was a food addict too. I mean, she needed a reduction in stomach size. There's two processes in it. There's the gastric sleeve, and then she had, I think it's called a duodenal switch too, where they actually alter. It's a second stage of the surgery where they alter the path of the intestines too, something like that. But she's doing good now. But she also had to have skin removal surgery, and skin removal surgery, unless you have to have that shit done, people, who gives a fuck what it looks like? Unless you have to have skin removal surgery done, it is a dangerous ass operation, because she had to have some done for medical purposes. And complications, everything like that too, Yeah,
that's a life-threatening surgery.
Yeah. Oh, it is. I mean, they're cutting a huge portion of you off. And
there's vessels and blood. And yeah,
exactly. So, but again, man, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your effort.
Thank you.
And if you ever need anything, we are here for you. Okay, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on, Alan.
And the rest of you, go check out Rich on ReviewTechUSA. I've actually learned some techie shit from watching his videos recently, and because I'm a very non-techie person, and I might reach out to you for help with all this shit. So,
hey, of course, no, not a problem.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
Bye.